All right, so for homework tonight, we're going to do two things, which are both review: subtracting fractions with different denominators and identifying adjectives. I'll start with the fractions and then I'll do the adjectives afterwards. So if you just need help for the adjectives, you can forward the video. But again, subtracting fractions, we're going through these same steps we've gone through. And those steps are find a common denominator, change the fractions, subtract, and then reduce. So we have 3/10 minus 1/4 to start. And do you know the common denominator there? Well, I know 10 times 2 is 20, 4 times 5 is 20. They both go into 20. So I can change them both to 20ths. 10 times what equals 20 times 2. So now I need to do 3 times 2. And that would give me 6 20ths. And then how about 4? 4 times what is 20? It's 4 times 5. 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can subtract, and I have 1/20th, and that cannot be reduced. So I can leave it as it is. Then, how about 1/2 minus 1/3? Our common denominator here, if you don't know, you can just count your factors. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Factors of 2, factors of 3, 3, 6, 9. Oh, 6 is going to work. There's 6, our common denominator. 1/2 is equal to 3/6. We know that because the denominators double the numerator. And 1/3 and 1/6 would be 2/6 because 3 times 2, 1 times 2. And now we've got the answer. And anytime you've got that 1 in the numerator, it can't be reduced because 1 is 1. You can't get any smaller than that. Let's do one where we do need to reduce. How about, I'm not totally sure, but I think number 4 we're going to need to reduce. So first of all, thirds and tenths, our common denominator is going to be 30ths. 2/3 equals 20/30ths. To go from 10 to 30ths, I multiply by 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. And that's going to give me 8/30ths. And that means I can reduce because I have 2 even numbers. So let's divide by 2/2. That's going to give me 4/15ths. And that's the answer for number 4. All right, I think that's good enough for that one. Again, we've done this many times, so just keep on going. Oh, and there's 10 of them total. And it looks like you've got, again, the same one twice, at least there and there. So you could probably skip that one. And yeah, let's talk about adjectives now. So adjectives are describing words, and they describe nouns specifically. So look at each sentence. What is the adjective, and then what word does it describe? My boss invited me to a fancy dinner. The word that describes is fancy. What word does fancy describe? Fancy describes dinner. The furry dog made the girl sneeze. The adjective here is furry. What is furry? The dog is furry. Often the adjective will be directly beside the noun it's describing, but not always. So let's look at one where it is a little bit farther away. So how about number 6? The perfume in the container is fragrant. Fragrant means it has a smell to it, and it's usually a pleasant or sweet smell. And what is fragrant? The perfume. So even though it's not beside it, all the way back there, the perfume is what's being described by the word fragrant. And I think that's good for this one. The only thing is there might be a few other words you come across that you might not know what they mean. And let me give you some of those words. So One of them is elderly. Do you know what that means? And the word fascinating. Do you know what those, and foreign. Do you know what those words mean? The word elderly means old. It's a more polite way of saying old. Fascinating is another way of saying something's interesting. And foreign means another country. A couple other ones. How about the word purchased? And then this one actually isn't an adjective. I'm going to underline it. That's a verb. But do you know what it means? And do you know what is a toddler, which is a noun? And do you know the word adorable? 3 more words you might not know. Purchase means to buy something. So the elephant bought by the zoo is enormous, is that sentence. Adorable is another way of saying cute. And a toddler is a 1 to 2 year old. So from when a kid turns 1, he becomes a toddler. And it's usually about the time that they start to walk. And up until the point where they're 3 years old, they're still called toddlers. And of course, from 0 to 1, that would be a baby, but it's also called an infant, a baby or an infant. And once you stop being a baby, you become a toddler. So that's just a kid, basically, a little kid, 1 or 2 years old. And I think that is good for this one. So thank you for watching. That's your homework for today, and have a nice evening. Thanks.